So, good morning. How is everybody? Good? Smiling, beautiful weather, rainy, but we need rain because of the new flowers and spring. Get in here. I know there is about 5 or 6 people more, but they are busy doing this stuff. How are you? So, by the way, if you want to put a note on your calendar, I am developing a new course for next month. May 23rd is Power of Sales. Most of us we take it in the one of the segments, I think, but we forget because we don't practice on it. And I never want to practice Power of Sales, but the market is kind of, there are a few more than before. You know, it used to be you could hardly see any Power of Sales. Now we are getting more and more. Good morning. So it's better that we are on top of things than you know, if you don't know exactly what happens when you have a Power of Sale listing. When you're dealing with a bank or mortgage broker and you give them business, once in a while they give you a kickback by giving you a Power of Sale because they know which house is going to be, you know, they have information before anybody else. So right now we have about 5 or 6 Power of Sales listing right now in our office, you know, and most of them are given to the agents by the bank representative. Hello. Hi. No, I told you this. 55. I'm expecting a call from a lawyer, so if you don't mind if I answer, I usually don't answer phones when I'm teaching, but today there is a case that he's going to call me. I put it on law. Anyway, so Power of Sales are a totally different case. If you want to listen a little bit more about it, I worked with them for almost 10 years. And I was a property manager, also a broker. So they did differently than regular vendors or sellers. Okay, the bank does not nothing has to do with how you're selling regularly. So if you're interested, mark. I think it's May 23rd Wednesday. It's going to be up. Today, we didn't want to name the name of the course. Questions and answers because that doesn't look very informative. But I'll show maybe half an hour after. I'm gonna ask if you have any questions in general about anything, and then if I can answer. But within the first half an hour, we'll go over some case studies with RICO. There are a lot of punishments lately, especially I get notices, and I'll give you some examples that what should be done or not. And then we take it from there. Now, first of all, do we all know that Terry-on warranty is changed? Before it was maximum of 60,000 on non-condominium. You know the changes? Anybody knows anything? No? Okay. Up to last December, non-condominium, that's the keyword. They were guaranteed by Terry-on warranty if you buy a property from a builder, whether $10 million or $600,000, because the builders, you pay to the builder directly. Okay, they take the money to use it. If they have 10 houses, 20 houses, they take your money and then they use it. They are free to do that. So your money was guaranteed up to $60,000. If you paid $100,000 and the builder went bankrupt, or $200,000 in some cases, you will only be guaranteed from Terry-on up to $60,000. Now that amount is not changed, maximum of 10% of $100,000. So just that you know, if you buy a property of $1 million and he requests 10% or 15%, let's say, which is $150,000, you're guaranteed up to $100,000. 60 is became $100,000. Condominium properties, no changes because you don't pay to the builder. You pay to the builder's lawyer, which is a trust account, and it's a lot more than 50 or 60 or 100,000. In some cases, you pay, depending the price, 20% of the sale price. It could be $200,000-$300,000 depending, but that doesn't go to the builder.
You mean resale, right?
But no, not resale. It's a brand new. Yeah, resale, it goes to the brokerage. You know, resale houses or condos, it goes to the brokerage, but brand new condos are safer because there is a lawyer holding the deposit. So that is trust account, and you're not supposed to touch that trust account, even though once in a while, every 5, 10 years, we hear that the lawyer got the money and it's running out. Well, that's once in a while, but 90% of the time, 99% of the time, your money is safer with the condo purchases because it's been held in the trust account. But with private builders or subdivision builders, they hold the money. You pay it directly to the builder. So if the builder is somebody known like Matami, Monarch, nothing to worry about. If it's somebody overnight you became a builder, you gotta be careful if he has anything, you know, in his portfolio that you can trust. But it's $100,000 now. I will give you some form numbers and put them down and then try to print them, or I can make photocopies later on. Form number 280. Because most cases that I'm going to talk about today, it's all related to this form, and form number 108. The form number 280, it's a brand new form. It came up this year, 2018. We didn't have it last year, right? And it's a very practical and useful form. I think we should study on it, take it, print it, and then look at it. Seller service form checklist. It says residential. Okay, everything we are looking at today is residential, by the way. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. It looks something like this. Okay, I'll make a copy right now. We are only 10 people. I'll give you one. It gives you all the information and what you need with the seller, from top to the bottom, from first day until the closing. I think it's very helpful because there are check marks. What you do, what you're supposed to do, what you're missing, anything that has been forgotten, it's all in here. Okay, I'm going to give it to the printing inside, and they'll give us a copy. We go over it. For example, working with a realtor, listing agreement, individual identification information, which is the FINTRAC. You do all this the first day when you are doing your listing. I think it's a lot easier than going middle of the listing and say, oh, I forgot the FINTRAC, we need that. I think it's the best time is when you're getting your listing. Everybody's fresh, everybody's happy, everybody is trying to do their best. So there is no problem. You go after 15 days, maybe you have a little bit of issue, the showings didn't go well, or somebody forgot the lights, somebody forget the door open, the cat is lost in the house. So they will always be different atmosphere after a while, okay? So the best time is the first meeting, or when you're getting the listing. Confirmation of cooperation and representation, agreement of purchase and sale, trade record. These are some extra stuff that you don't need. Waivers, amendment, notice of fulfillment, mutual release, registering disclosure, and then seller property information statement. These are not mandatory, but some people use it. And seller directions, residential market guide, mortgage verification. So all these things are useful stuff. Some of them you're never going to need it, but it's there. If the house that you're listing, you need one of this, then you don't forget what was that, because it's given to you, okay? Not every house, not every listing is going to be identical. It's like no houses are alike, no people are alike unless you are born to it. You know, obviously you're not going to need every paper on every house, but depending who you are working with, if there is a mortgage to be canceled, discharged, if there is a mortgage to be assumed, it's all in here. Because mortgage verification, we don't use it anymore because everybody says purchase it to a brand new financing. In some cases, you don't have to. If there is a lot of penalty by the seller discharging that mortgage, why not have the purchaser to assume it if it's assumable or portable? Why not have the seller to take it to where it's going? So these are all in here. And unless the seller gives you something in writing, the bank will not talk to you, obviously, right? So that's how it works. Okay, this is one. And one of the most important when you're dealing again with the seller is the form number 108. This has been revised a couple times. Entry access to property seller's acknowledgement. Now, there are three sections in here. Most of the cases that I'm going to talk today in here from RICO, and I don't want to share this with you because we have two agents from this office. They are charged, okay? And they are not confidential. You can go on RICO, but I don't want to mention their name. One of them is a $7,000. It's right here. And the other one is $4,000 by not complying with RICO rules and regulations. And the commission they made was a lot less than that. One is a rental, actually. When you make $1,000 and pay $7,000 or $4,000 in this case, it hurts more because if you make $20,000 and they charge you $4,000, you still have $60,000. But when you're making $15,000 and they charge you $20,000, then you're losing money, not making money. And one of them is that. How are you?
What is the case?
Eh?
What is the case?
What is the case? It's one of the related to this. Now, this three section, when you're getting a listing, there is 90% of the time, there will be an offer coming in and it will be conditional on 2 or 3 things. One is inspection, another one is a mortgage financing, one probably lawyer's approval, and the last one, if it's a condominium, it's the status certificate, okay? Some of these things you don't need to worry about it. Lawyer's approval is a private issue between the buyer and his lawyer. So he goes to his lawyer and the offer gets approved and the condition is waived. The status certificate is seller arranges to get one and pay for it, and then the buyer's lawyer get it and approve it, and again, it's done. There is nothing to worry. But there are 2 items there. That is, one of them is conditional financing, and the other one inspection. Now, what happens in these 2 conditions? Usually, the bank approves someone, and until the closing date, or a day before or a week before, nobody even calls to make an appraisal. That's the worst thing. Number one, we have to make sure that within our condition, if it's in our power, and we have a purchaser that is not 100% solid, to get the appraiser to the property before you remove the condition, especially these days with this new mortgage rule. You don't want to hold your appraisal until the last week. If there is any issue in your application, in your buyer's application, now the sellers are the victim in this case, because if the buyer's bank pulls the plug, the deal won't close. So everybody is losing in this case, okay? Maybe the sellers bought something else, and maybe the buyers didn't know that there was going to be an issue. Some mortgage brokers they are creative. They start putting some numbers and changing stuff, I don't want to discuss that in here, but you got to be careful who you are working with, which mortgage company or broker you're working with. There has to be a trustful person. Lately, I know, Jack knows, Vivian knows in this office, and other offices, I don't know. We lost, within the last 3 months, maybe 10 deals. And that was all the last week of the closing. Because something is modified in the application, and they say to the buyer, if you do this, we can guarantee a mortgage. The buyer changes it. The banks are more smart. They are more active now than 10 years ago or 5 years ago. They check everything the last week. If there was anything modified or not correct, they can pull the plug the last day that you cannot do it. Okay? Sometimes the lawyers are smart. They get an extension couple days. There is a private funds. There are other remedies available to the buyers can get maybe through a secondary lending, paying 6% or whatever, not to lose their high deposit. But it's not very pleasant to have all this the last day. So if your buyer is working with 5, 10, 15% down payment or 20 even, I would like to have the inspector or the appraisal go to the property within that period of time, because you sell a property 800,000. It was listed 899, 859, 829. It's sold for 800. How do you know in front of the bank or in the eyes of the bank that property is going to appraise 800,000? And you have a buyer with 20% down payment, $200,000. You think that's enough? If the property gets appraised 750, they need $50,000 more, besides everything else, because you think that property was worth 800. They think this property is only worth 750. So you are short 50,000. If the down payment is 30%, I don't see a problem because there is enough to cover $100,000 more or $80,000 more. But if the down payment is only 15, 20%, that could create a big problem on closing. Now, who are you gonna get somebody to give your buyer $50,000 on the last day? Very difficult. So if the appraisal is done ahead of time and it's approved, if it's less, you don't move the condition. If the buyer doesn't have that luxury, don't take the condition out, don't waive it. If there is enough, then the appraiser is gonna say, yeah, the property qualifies, and then nothing to worry about it. They cannot change their mind on the closing date unless the application was done in not good faith. Okay, that's another thing. So, one of these, yes.
Do you know any cases that have been, the banks have been appraised during the?
Many cases, not any, many.
Yeah.
Most of the cases is the appraiser goes the last week or the last couple of days and says the property is not worth, the buyer doesn't have money. Some cases, very minimum, the property gets appraised, but the application was forged. It wasn't, it was not done in good faith, okay? Either the mortgage broker was playing with it, or the buyer put different numbers. You make 100,000 a year, you put 150. You think nobody gonna check that? Or your wife doesn't work, you show a part-time, she's earning 40, 50,000 a year, then they wanna prove. Or you say, I have a bank stubs, you know, my monthly or weekly payments are so much, they ask 3 months, you cannot prove it. So even though the property got appraised, you're not approved. And it happens.
Sorry,
Pardon?
so there's a lot of cases during
Yeah.
transition
Oh, yeah.
the bank.
Oh, yeah, the banks are tough, and they don't care. You know what, you cannot even complain, because they say, you're the one you're lying, not us.
So we should ask the mortgage brokers to do it.
Don't deal with anybody that it creates like miracle. There is no such thing, okay? If you see somebody is creating miracle, and they say, oh, I did this, I did that, the guy didn't have down payment, I found it, there is always something behind it, okay? Work with someone that the mortgage broker has a good name, and most of his deals are closed, check it out. Banks are always 100%, but they are not as flexible as different sub-based mortgage brokers or private mortgage brokers. But when you go to a bank and they approve you for that mortgage, you are 99.9% guaranteed. Okay? But private mortgage brokers, I'm not going to say that they are all the same, but there are some very good, helpful, honest people, but there are some on the other end, not 100% honest.
So if I'm looking at the buyer and I've asked them, you know, have you been pre-approved? Yes, I have. I've been pre-approved. I went to my bank. I got the clearance to go. Then I should see if that should be enough.
No.
The
The
pre-approval.
pre-approval is made nothing. I can make a phone call right now in front of you and give my name to a mortgage, not a broker, but bank specialist. Give my name and last name and say that I want to buy $1 million home. She's gonna say, I need a pre-approval. She's gonna ask me a few questions. Do you work? Yes. How old are you? So many years, whatever the age. And are you married? Your wife goes, all these things. Now she's asking me, I'm answering. She has no way of knowing what I'm saying is the truth, or is the truth, or the extra I'm exaggerating. That she doesn't know. And then she's gonna say, how much money do you make? I say 100,000, 200,000, whatever it is. And I'm looking for a property. She will do some calculations there. How are you married? Nice to see you. So she's going to do some calculations there. And then at the end, she's going to say, well, I think you are safe for up to $1 million with 20% down. Do you have 20% down? Yes, I do. That's it. Now I am pre-approved. She can even send me that paper by fax or by email, because it's based on the information you provided to the bank employee. And there are so many conditions under there. Don't kid yourself. It's not like, oh, that's it, I have a paper, I'm pre-approved, I'm okay. No, it says the information was given as per the client, you know, and there will be appraisal condition in there. There will be pre-qualification, not pre-qualification, but real qualification with your payment letters and stuff, and a credit bureau. They didn't even do credit bureau. Now, maybe all of the above is correct, but you have a credit bureau of 400. You have a bankruptcy. You think they're gonna honor that? No. You gotta have minimum of 650 with Equifax. Actually 620, but that's the lowest, in order to get the mortgage that you're looking. So pre-approvals are good, but not secret. It's not the best. So in other words, any pre-approvals you go with that, it can be it could create a problem. You don't have to depend on 100%. Unless the conditions are only one thing, appraisal or CMHC is involved. That's different because that means everything else is done okay, just the appraisal, and I would definitely recommend within the 5 days. If they refuse it, then if they say we don't have enough, you're gonna pay for the appraisal anyway. You can ask, can I get my own appraisal done with a dependent, like qualified company? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, you have to go to them. Anyway, the issue is this: when there is last moment appraisals, and this paper is not initialed or signed by the seller, now there could be an issue. Seller said, I don't want anybody in my property. You have 2 visits or 3 visits within a 2-month period. If you put those 2 visits, those are for your buyers or the buyer agent's buyers, you are on the listing side, and they use them. Now, seller has no obligation to open the door to anybody else. You had 2 visits, you used your 2 visits. If this paper is signed and it's in the offer, we put a clause that seller hereby agrees that before closing, there could be a bank appraisal besides the 2 visits or 3 visits of the buyer. Okay, if I'm on the buyer side, I will always protect by putting that. So if they agree, that's okay. That this paper serves for 2 different reasons. If the offer is saying that you are allowed to go with your appraiser and your inspection is within 5 days, now there are circles here. One of them, for the conditions in there, listing brokerage representative, does she want you there or you don't have to be there? This is very critical because some of the fines that Rico is writing down here is all related to this. Number 2, cooperative brokerage representative. Does he have to be there or not? Or the seller consents to neither the listing broker representative or the cooperative representative being present during the entry. Now, entry means not only one thing, everything. Every time you enter that property, that is valid. That means visits. You don't want to have buyer going directly to the seller's house without any representative. One case study is $5,000 because they give the buyer the lockbox code to enter the property, and seller wasn't home. And while the buyer was inside, before the closing, sellers come in and say, "Who are you? I am the buyer." Because most of the time, buyers don't meet the seller. During the day, you show the property, there is no one home. At night, you make an offer. There is, the seller home, but the buyer is not with you. Who are you? I am the buyer. How did you get in? The agent gave me, Is it a fair deal? It's a big red mark, okay? So if your buyer is going to go to see the property, you must be with him. You cannot send him 5 minutes before and he opens the door and you meet him 5 minutes after with your coffee. You cannot work like that. You gotta be there before, you open the door and you take him in. If the seller says, every time the buyer agent is coming here and they're gonna show the property 2 or 3, I want you to be here. Don't forget, we get paid by the seller. The commission issue is a private issue. Whether you're charging 4% or 5%, that's your choice. If you cannot negotiate your commission to 4.5 to 5, and you are working at 4 or 3.5 in some cases, you cannot say, I'm only making 1%. Why should I be there all the time? That's your problem, not the seller, not the other broker. If the seller is saying, I want you to be here, even if you are working free, you have to be there. The RICO does not say if you are getting less money, it's okay. You can go late or you don't go at all. There is no such rule. You have to be there. Now, most cases, that's the answer. Well, I wasn't making enough money. Why should I be there all the time? It's half an hour drive. Well, don't take the listing. If you don't want to drive to, let's say, Mississauga, nobody forced you. They called you, or you were door knocking, or you were somehow visiting somebody, next door neighbor wanted to this. then you say, this is not my area. I'm gonna have someone else to work with you. Or they force you to make it 3.5, don't take it. You say, my minimum wage is 4%, or 4.5, or 5. We have agency, believe it or not, they don't get anything less than 5%. We have agency, they don't get nothing less than 4.5%. They have a principle. They say, instead of working with 20 people every year, I work with 10 people every year. Instead of working with 10 sellers, 20 sellers, I work with 10. But I make the same money by working with them. I believe that, and I support them, okay? But when you are new in the business, you want to grab anything you can, that's the case. You can lower your standard, right? I'm not suggesting that everybody should lose anything or not. That's fine. So the case is this: you cannot let the buyer in with any lock funds code alone. Or if the seller is demanding that you're going to be there every time there is a showing or L3, you have to be. If you don't want it, don't get it.
Excuse me, what about the appraisal? If appraisal wants to go there?
That's coming. That's coming. Exactly. So that's number one. Number two is the inspection. There is a 3-hour inspection. Why would you have someone going there, and it's your listing, to enter the property, fiddle around in the attic, in the basement, measuring this, measuring that, and you are the listing agent and you are not there. I don't care whether the seller said, I want you to be here or not. I would be there regardless. I've seen so many agents, buyer agents, they enter the property and the seller agent is not there. That's not even right. That's not right. If you have a listing, you are managing that listing. You are on top of it. You gotta be there to see if there is anything that you can help the inspector with, or if there is anything you can collect the information. If they're gonna back out of the deal, there are 2 ways of writing conditions. Do you know both of them? Inspection conditions. Do you know both? Everybody knows both. One is different than the other? Do you know that? One is a buyer's condition. One is a seller's condition. Even though the buyer is putting in. On a dual agency, which one do you use? There are 2 of them in our cheat sheet. One is full satisfaction of the buyer. If they see a hair crack, they say, I don't want this house, there is a crack in it. The other one, you cannot change your mind. It says at the seller's discretion, if that is going to be fixed, you are stuck with it, okay? So the inspector is going to go there and you leave your buyer agent with the buyer. You are not there, the sellers are not there. You have to be there to see, is there something that is going to affect the sale of the property? Even these people give up, why? Because if these people that they are showing it now, is inspecting it, if they say we don't want it anymore, there are issues with the house. So what are those issues? You want to know, so for the next round, at least you're prepared. You can tell the seller that, listen, they give up because of this, because of that, because of the other reason. Now, either we should fix it before we, get another offer because this is going to repeat itself, or you don't want to fix it and you're going to have this problem all the time. So I think it's a very good idea to do that.
Do we have to disclose to the buyer's agent that we as a seller agent will be there?
No, they have nothing to do with that. That's your listing. You can be there half an hour before, get your papers, sit down, welcome them. You should be there during the inspection. Don't follow anybody. You can tell the inspector, if you need anything, I'm here, Once in a while, see, monitor, show yourself that you are present. But not being there is the worst thing, because they are all by themselves. You don't know what the hell is going on. Maybe they have questions about the house, because it could be something that you sold this house to them 10 years ago. Now you're reselling it back again, right? So I think it's a good idea, and specifically if the seller demands it. But for me, I have to be there. It doesn't matter. Now, mortgage, yes, you have a question.
Is that okay if the seller asks for inspector's report?
It's okay, but it's a private and the buyer is paying for it. They don't have to release it. Unless.
So it's not a.
No, unless the offer is prepared in a way that in the event the buyer is not going to remove the condition, the seller demands a copy of it, because there has to be a reason, right? If the house is 100 out of 100, there is no house like that. I haven't seen one yet. But if there is one, and the buyer was playing game, he put 2 offers or 3 offers on 3 different properties, which I hate to even talk about it, okay? But most of us is even trying that now. That's a new gimmick. Anyways, so if you are putting 3 offers on different, whichever comes first, price reduction, roof repair or something, and then you go with that. And it's not in the offer, the seller cannot demand. Then he has to sign the mutual release. But if the offer has a paragraph indicating that in the event the condition is not removed and they want a mutual release, you need a copy of the thing that they have to give you. Whether it's very good or not, even there is a small stuff, if it's written in a way that is full satisfaction, nothing you can do, but they can have a copy. Any other questions?
I have to say.
You have, yeah,
This inspection appraisal is being done by the buyer's mortgage company. And they're not obligated to share any information, like while listing agent, even if it's there, like you say, if you find a crack.
inspection and different appraisal is different. The inspection is within the first 5 days of your offer, conditional. Appraisal, I prefer that it's done within the 5 days that we have, but sometimes they don't include it at the banks. That's the problem. They leave it for the end, okay, before closing. But appraisals don't care about the cracks. Appraisals don't care about other issues. Of course, if the house is falling apart, then it's going to be deduction, right? If you have a roof that needs to be changed, if you have a basement that's full of water or dampness, appraiser will look at that. Obviously, it's going to say the house is worth 800, but there is $30,000 to be spent to make it livable. So that 30,000 will be working against the buyer, okay? But appraisers don't care if there is a crack or not, small crack or big crack. They are not in there for that. They just want to know if the house is okay within that, let's say, two miles perimeter or circle. Appraised value, is it okay or not? If they lending you $800,000 or $700,000, is that going to be okay for them? Or tomorrow the price is not going to be supporting the appraised value? So that's what they are.
In the case that you're saying with her, that condition you put in, that the buyer has to produce a copy if he doesn't waive the condition. If that inspection says the house is 100, it's perfect,
And there is a case.
right? Like they can,
And there is a case that the seller can hold the buyer responsible for giving up. Obviously, there are different remedies for the buyer, for the mortgage, for example. It's a private issue. He says, I went to the bank, I didn't get approved, and they still can get their money, but if it's only one condition, and if it comes $100 out of 100, which, yes, please, because then they are saying yes, yes.
Commercial appraisal are different with the residential.
Oh, yeah, totally different, yeah. Commercial appraisal don't do residential, or they may, but they can, but the residential appraisal, they can. You need a higher degree.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Can you imagine a $20 million plaza with a $800,000 home? You need extra knowledge, or there are different ways of appraising properties. The residential appraisal, they use comparative market analysis, but the commercial one, they use the cost approach, income approach. There are a lot of.
Do we have any in this office?
Yeah, but we don't have it in this office, but if you need it, I can get somebody to give you a name.
So on the inspection says there is sellers and buyer's clause. I never noticed the sellers. So my question is, Brenda putting in the sellers as a condition, the clause? I never noticed that.
You never noticed it, okay. What I used to do when I was active, okay, and I still do if I'm dealing with relatives or friends that they need to buy, or if I need this stuff. If an offer comes in, I used to have both of them. If I'm representing the buyer under buyer agency agreement, that's a keyword, BRA. I use the buyer's inspection condition because I have a buyer agency agreement. Okay? If I am on both sides, representing buyer and the seller as a client, then I use the seller's condition, right? Regardless, that's the way it should be. Now, if I'm on the seller's side and an offer comes in from another company, I must use the seller's condition. I don't care if they're gonna say, no, you take that out, we are not gonna come back with the offer. Then don't come back with the offer. I would convince my seller that this is a trap, like any hair crack, you can change your mind. You're taking your property off the market for 5 days, 7 days with the weekend, and then all of a sudden, oh, we don't want it because in one corner we saw a spider. There was a spider web. You know, hello. So it's very simple like that. Okay. So what I used to do is that I used to have a schedule A ready with the seller's condition. So if there is one that coming in, okay, most agents use maybe sellers anyway. I used to get rid of that, initial by the seller, and put the new schedule A for the buyer to use. You should have it in your briefcase anytime you have a listing ready to go. That's the easiest way.
So we recommend as a seller, agent, we can add the schedule on the MLS as a.
No, I don't recommend that. I would have it with me. Then you are scaring people, like with so many. I would have it with me. Or when the offer comes in by email or by fax, you take it, you do whatever you have to do with your seller, change anything you want, put the new schedule A and send it. They will appreciate, the other agent will appreciate actually, because if he puts it in the beginning, then the lawyers are involved sometimes. They say, why your agent put this in the beginning? But if you change it, he may even like you because he's going to say, now I'm more safe. I'm going to get my money. You know what I'm saying? So this way there is more guarantee that the deal is going to go through, right? So inspection is done. Now we are talking about the mortgage appraisal. If you cannot get your mortgage appraisal, make sure that this is followed up, because if the seller says, I want somebody, and you have to have in the offer, if it's a mortgage condition, you have to have in the offer that seller agrees and acknowledges that before the closing, and in addition to the 2 visits or 3 visits of my buyer's visit, they will allow the bank appraiser to enter the property. We had a case 3 months ago here, around January. Seller said they can go in the backyard, but I'm not taking you in my house. There was nothing in the offer. Vivian had a call, you know, we had to call that our sellers, right? You know, we are working with our sellers. So I called, Jack did try, Vivian tried. No, he says they had visits and they did it. No, I don't want anybody in my house. They are allowed to go in the backyard. I can open the garage, but not in my house. Yes.
I have a question. What if the house is occupied by a tenant?
That's even worse. Actually, that's even worse. Tenants have their own rights. They said, you bothered me already 3 times, I don't want anybody else. You know. Now, having that clause, will it save the problem with the tenants? Sometimes no, because tenants are always, sometimes they give hard time, sometimes they are very good. So, but at least you have it. Don't forget one thing, there is a third party, and it's the lawyer, either the buyer lawyer or the seller's lawyer. They are there, you make 20,000, they make 1,000. Look at the difference, okay? You make 50,000, they still make 1,000. So they have to blame on somebody. When there is an offer on the table and it wasn't conditional on the lawyer's review, and then you forgot to put something, the first person we will blame is us. Okay? They're gonna say, yeah, the appraiser cannot go in because your agent didn't put it in. Your agent is me, you, everybody else. Okay? Then you're already crucified to start with. And that house doesn't get appraised and doesn't close, that's because of it. Because there was not enough information in the deal. Now you put that and they argue, then you have nothing to worry about. The deal won't close, but at least they are not going to come after you. You may not get your commission, but that's not all. You will not get sued because you did everything properly. And that's only 2 words. In addition to the visits, seller agrees to allow the bank representative before the closing date. It's like 1 sentence. That's it. Very easy to remember. You don't need a lawyer to write it. Yet, none of the offers. And this deal that we had problem in January, it closed 2 days later than anticipated. Because they had an issue. Like I said, in the beginning, we shake hands, we are friends. If anything happens in between the transaction before closing, we become enemies. It doesn't matter how close you are. Money. You promise something, you don't go with your promise. They promise something, everything changes. I am dealing now with a very angry seller She said, I want a cancellation, and the agent is saying, no, I spent so much money to do this. And I believe the seller more than my agent, even though, she is mine, she's one of my, grandchild over here, it's a young agent. And I feel bad, but on the other hand, I think there is something missing in between. There was a miscommunication from the beginning. And I checked the file, listing pictures are not exactly what he was promised. And then few other things was not exactly done. So I am working to solve this problem, and today is gonna be the day, because yesterday she started crying on the phone. I'm gonna go to my board. We don't want this to happen, and we don't want to cancel the listing. So we are trying to, I came yesterday, my first day in business. Oh my God, I said, I wish I had stayed another day. So it was a busy day, and sometimes it's good business. Sometimes when people cry and scream on the phone, it's not a very good day. So anyhow, we have to deal with it in the afternoon, yes.
Before you make any offer, can you get the appraiser to see the property?
It's usually not very common, because if your offer don't get accepted, then you spend the 250.
Because you want to set the price. So if
It doesn't work like that. You have to have an appraised, you have to have an accepted offer, and then you should get the appraiser. Because first of all, appraiser cannot give you a price. He cannot say to you, oh, don't buy this house for 800, it's only worth 750. Because they don't even know if the seller gonna go for 750, 800, 900, they have no idea. They cannot give you that privilege, okay? Second, why would you spend, if that house doesn't happen, then you have another one. Then you're gonna spend another $300. It's like home inspection, right? You keep getting people, and then if they don't get it, then you have to pay the money. Before you buy a house, it will cost you $3,000, $4,000 if there is showings and that it doesn't go through. It's not very practical. I'm not saying you can. As long
if the
as
buyer accept them, paying the
if the
money.
buyer is paying and the seller agreeing, I don't see a problem. But everybody has to agree, because sometimes sellers say, why am I gonna show my house if I don't have an offer? I would. Why should I get a strange person if there is no negotiation established? So I wouldn't. But again, if everybody is agreeing, I don't see a reason. So the seller's agent is responsible for all the showing. That's what the seller wanted. Now appraiser is going, and it's in the offer. You cannot give the lockbox to the appraiser. I'm coming to that, okay? This is the bank representative. He has a title. Unless the seller signed that, it's okay. You see, that's what we have this paper, okay? And you have to specify, is it okay if the appraiser come along? Yeah, it's okay, no problem. Because this guy is known with RBC or CIBC. He's not coming from, they make appointment with you. But 90% of the time, I would prefer to be there. I wouldn't leave my seller unattended. I want to know the appraiser, who the guy is. I want to take his card. I give my card, and at least if anything goes happening afterwards, I know the way he looked at the property. I can even get a few words out of it. If you become friendly in the beginning, hi, how are you? My name is Gregory. Nice to meet you. And maybe on the way back out, so how do you see everything? Oh, everything is good. He won't give you price or information. Oh, everything looks good. At least you know that he's living happy. If he says to you, well, we're going to work on it, then maybe there is going to be a small issue. So you're prepared. It's not like something new, okay? I would be there. If the seller demands it, you have to be there. If not, I would still be there. I don't want to give the lockbox to anybody because it's okay with the seller.
Okay, Gregory, when you put this clause into the offer,
Yes.
The seller agrees to allow one extra visit for bank appraisal. What time frame would you put?
You don't have to before closing, because you don't know when that's gonna
That's a problem, you can't do it like an inspection within 5 days.
No, you can't, because if you're lucky to get the bank to accept the appraisal within 5 business days, then you have condition, it's done already. But if the bank is saying, oh, don't worry, this is the client, we are okay, he has enough money, everything looks good, we're gonna send the appraiser, you cannot force, even though you are asking for it. If it doesn't happen, it has to be before the date of closing. So anytime before the date of closing.
So I would have to add that as a condition.
Yes, that would be, because there is no time frame. It's safer to leave it open. Some banks go a week before, some banks do 3 days before, so.
Any day before closing.
Yeah, before closing. before the data closes, you know. So this way you are safe, okay? So these are the papers that we should carry with us. And I think this one is in our listing package, if I'm not mistaken. It's form number 108, okay? This must be there. But
Is
this
it
one,
included now?
pardon?
Is it included the
It
package?
should be in there. I saw it once, but I will double check it and tell the girls to put it in the packages. But this one here, seller service form checklist, form number 280, it's a super form. They came up this year. And if you have one of these, you will never miss anything because it's check mark, you know, check mark. Anything that you think maybe wasn't necessary, then you don't check. Because every house is different. You may not need a mortgage verification on one, you may need on another one, that's in here. You may not need an amendment on one, maybe you need on another one, okay? And don't forget, when you're selling, you need FINTRAC on everything except rentals, all right? So that is that.
288, did you say?
Pardon?
280?
280.
280.
Yeah, 280. Actually, let me give this to the marketing. They make, how many are we, about 15, 20? They make a couple, so I give everyone one. Agents licenses revoked, agents, not one, two of them, after swindling senior. So I read this. It's a story that I wish everybody can read. I cannot make copy of everything. This is not happening in Toronto. It's outside of the Toronto. 86-year-old seller is being taken for a ride by the two agents. They sold his house and they promised him 1 year free rent, but the house was sold about 50%, they bought it obviously, of the market price. He had a drug issue, mental issue, so he would believe anybody, you know, like the way it's written here. And yeah, like we are licensed, obviously we look for good deals, but to go up years ago, 40 years ago, I was working in a company on Danforth. That's my initial start. It's an Italian company. I had a door knocking habits like everybody else. I used to go, you want to sell your house, you know, I'm not a Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, I just want to make sure that you want to sell your house, fine. A lady opened the door. She was probably at least 80 to 85. Now, 45 years ago, 40 years ago, 80 looked very old to me because I was a young guy, right? I'm like 25, 30, and all of a sudden, and she was with a kid, an Italian background. I said, and my wife being Italian, I speak few words that nice a lot better. So I said, Signora, you know, don't just come on in. Oh my God, what a lucky day. It's 11 in the morning, Wednesday, come on in. If they are calling you, there is a hope, right? So I go inside. She speaks English, she speaks Italian, cafe. Yeah, sure, coffee, why not? You know, the more I stay there, the more chances I have. So she was from Venice, northern Italy, very clean person, you know. Depending your age, some people at 80, 85, they don't look as clean as her. So we sat down, we are having coffee, she gets the S cookies, you know, out. And then, and then I said, the reason I am here, I am looking for a property. He said, yeah, I said, why not? But the way she says it, like she is ready. But I don't know if I'm doing the right thing because she is all by herself. There is no one beside her. Thank you. So I start a little bit more, you know, I said, okay, well, when would you like to move? Where would you go from here, you know? Oh, he says, don't worry about that. You know, we start getting into business. And then I remember when you're licensed and you're dealing with an older person, whether they are in the right state of mind or not, you have to be very careful. It's not like you get her signature and that's it, it's done. If she is not in the right state of mind at that moment, it's like dealing with a drunk person, okay? So I said, do you have any family member, any daughter, son, sister, brother? So why do you ask? I said, I want to make an appointment when one of the family members is here, so we can talk. You know what she told me? That you think I'm crazy? I said, no, I never said that, but I want to make sure that we are doing what we are doing is right, you know? Yeah, he said, I have a son, but he's not going to be here till next week. I said, okay, why don't I make an appointment next week? And then we'll go over. I didn't want to take your signature. It didn't look like kosher. It was so easy for me to get her on the paper. And I estimated her 80, she could have been 90. I don't even know that. So those people are considered minor, you know. After certain age, if they go to court, they say, I didn't know what I was doing. He told me to sign here, I signed it, they are considered minor. Especially when you take the listing and sell it. If it doesn't close, you even lose your license, okay? That's what happened here. Exactly. They were working with an older person and they got his house on the market or exclusive, I don't know the details. And then they bought it at a 50% value of the market price and they told him, don't worry about it. You have 1 year free rent. Big deal. Like $1,500, $2,000, 1 year, it's like $18,000. But the house came to them maybe $150,000 cheaper. And they got caught, and both of them, they lose their license, which is perfect. I love it. So that's one case over here. The other case here that is very interesting, I collect this thing, then I go away, I take them to the airport and read them, you know, so that gives me a little bit extra time. Okay, tribunals. Charge 2 counts of furnishing false information in an application of registration. This is when you are registering yourself. 2 counts of failing to notify the registrar in writing within 5 days of a change of information, $5,000. Now, you don't pay this, you get kicked out. Okay? The information on anything renewal must be 100% correct. If you are modifying it and they catch you, they give you a fine, you don't pay, then you are out of the business. They cannot force you afterwards because you lose your license, that's your punishment. Okay? We have $3,000 fine and $15,000 fine. November 10, 2017. So it's only a few months ago. Duty to client, component service, presentation of offers, duty to ensure compliance, broker of record misrepresentation, negligence, unprofessional conduct. 15,000, and the name of the person is Andrew Subzak, Victoria Harbor. And this is from Vaughan, Ontario. $7,000, November 13, 2017. Financial responsibility, unprofessional conduct, and false application. That's $7,000. These are all real, and you can check them yourself. It's another $5,000 duty to client and incompetent service. Financial responsibility, misrepresentation, negligence, unprofessional conduct, $15,000. And then misrepresentation, negligence, unprofessional conduct, and presentation of offer. That means there was some issues with that, $7,000. November 24, 2017. So these are pages and pages, if I get them out. And there is another one that here is $3,500, giving a lockbox to non-licensed person. So we were just talking about lockbox numbers are not supposed to be given to non-licensed person. And another advice, when you have a lockbox on a property, do me a big favor. Don't leave it for 2 months with the same combination. Everybody will have that combination. When they know that people are not home during the day, they will go and show the property without even you knowing. That happens, believe it or not. So change the lockbox combination every 7 to 10 days. The seller should know the lockbox combination and your office immediately, because if you leave the old one here, then there is going to be a problem. While you are changing it, whatever you are changing to, and it's sometimes very funny. I put 2015, let's say, on a lockbox. A day after, I don't change nothing, or a week after. I say 5102. It's the same, but I give it a different, if the push buttons, it's the same thing. You either have 2015 or 5102. It's the same thing, So sometimes, the push buttons, the lock boxes, they are the same whichever way you go. Either you go 5101. It's the same because unless they are in line, then you have, this is the old one. In line ones, you cannot do that obviously, okay? But change lock boxes, no more, not less than 10 days. I mean, no more than 10 days. Every 10 days you should change it and notify it to the office. You don't want your lock box to be wrong. And if the property is sold conditional and it's 5 days, 6 days, or 10 days, don't leave the key in there. Take it and give it to the seller because within those conditional days, if there are no showings, you don't need the key. You don't want anybody going to that. Sellers could be on holidays, and then some agents may take advantage of them. They know they may send somebody there with no proper registration or appointment. You don't want it. And some of the charges that I didn't print is all lockbox issues. Either the agent is not present, or they give the lockbox to an inspector or the appraiser, and the seller found out. And there are some of them heavier. $7,000, $6,000. If you're selling a small home, apartment or something, you make $10,000, I think the most, you pay $7,000. And plus you have to take a couple courses sometimes, extra, okay? I don't think it's necessary. So if you are a little bit more careful, I think it would be a lot easier to get in real estate. Yes.
Okay, you say is it wise to let the vendors have?
Yeah, I think so. That's the one. I think if they feel comfortable to take the key inside at night, they should be able to do it. See, your key is outside. We have how many agents? 50,000 in Ontario, roughly? Do we know if that is a mental problem? Look what happened a couple days ago, not you. I'm just going to give an example. There are crazy people. Somehow they managed to get license. And that guy who was charged with 10 first degree murder and 13 attempted murder. So this guy was in the Canadian Army for 2 months. And what I hear from the Canadian Army officials, they had a full check on it before they accepted it. There was nothing in his background that he would not allow him to be Canadian soldier. So yet, after a year or whatever, look what happened. There is no motive behind. There is no ISIS. There is nothing involved. He's crazy. So we have 50,000 agents. Okay. Now, how do we know all of them are normal like us? There could be somebody with a. There was one in the open houses. He was attacking ladies. There was one in Oakville years ago. There are some maybe that don't have the same idea with us, right? So I would prefer to give the luxury to my seller. If they are more comfortable to take the key at night and leave it in the morning, why not? They stay at home. They give you the key. They deserve that. Okay. I would give that option. Now they say we are okay. Oh, yeah, I'm okay with that. But I had a listing, and they were more comfortable, to take the key at night and put it in the morning. I said, the only thing I said, you make sure in the morning at the door, make sure the key is in there. Put a note that you remember before you go out. Or else there is going to be an issue with you. Nothing happened. The listing got sold and everything is okay. But they had the option to take it, and they did it. They had a young child. They are more safe. They feel comfortable, more comfortable to take the key inside. Why would I give my key from 9 o'clock until next morning, 7 o'clock, middle of the night? And there has been showing maybe 20, 30, 40 showings sometimes. And don't forget one thing, it's not only the agent. Some clients pick up the box number. You gotta be careful. And you know what we do, most of us? The worst thing, you know what I'm gonna say, right? MLS listing, let's assume. We put the date, we are showing it, April 25, 11 to 12, and we put on confirmation. Go direct, that's what I do, go direct. Lockbox, I put the lockbox with, I never put it right, I put it backwards or sideways or whatever. This is me. So if you put the lockbox number right underneath, and then they are checking the listing, right? they are seeing if the refrigerator is there, air conditioned, if the house is, you give them a copy while you are driving, or they are there at the house. They know that black box time. Do we know who those people are? Do we know them for years, or we just met them? There are times you only see this person once and you don't even know where he lives. They don't give you information. They come to the open house, or you meet them in front of the house. So these people have your lockbox. And if anything happens, now I'm trying to get the police involved. Did they give you the right number? Do you have their cell number, home number, address? They may have given you maybe wrong information about themselves, and they have a different idea. They pick that up and they go to the house another time on their own. So these are all the small stuff that years and years experience builds up. Okay. Now this is how I would do. Now how you operate your business is your choice, but you got to be very careful because there are a lot of loopholes in this business, especially with safety. Right? So it's almost an hour that I've been talking about. There are a couple other ones, but I want to open the floor for a question, and then if I can answer, yeah.
So for the inspection, so we had, let's say, 3-time inspection, we have used 2 of them, so is the appraisal part of the inspection?
No,
That's
no, unless you specify that it's part of the inspection, then yes, because they say you are only allowed to come in. Not even your mother-in-law, father-in-law is part of the inspection. They didn't buy the house. But most sellers are nice and kind. They say, if you wanna, you can ask, I am my mother visiting from back home. Is it okay if she sees it? 99% they will say yes, but they can refuse more than husband and wife and your own kids because those are the buyers. But most of us bring a couple other people sometimes. It's okay.
So how about the final inspection? So the appliances must be liquid.
Then you did that one just before closing.
So that's the part.
Yeah, you can leave that one just before closing, that you can go and check the property if there's any broken windows or if anything is changed since the first time, you know.
So if you use all the inspections, let's say, times for 2 times, so at the end, if the seller says, no, we can't, or?
If it's in writing and you have a confirmation with the listing agent that you show the property twice because they have a record of it, and the third time will be 2 days before. But in our North office, Aurora, they have a very good clause. We don't have it. I don't know, Vivian, I don't even know if Vivian knows about it. It's their cheat sheet. It says that the last inspection should not be closer than 1 week to the closing date. I think you know that, right? Yeah. So there is a clause. Because as a seller's agent, I would like to see that, you know. You don't want the last day of the closing that everybody is ready, packing up the boxes and stuff. People are coming, 3 people to look at the house. That's not fair idea, you know. So whether it's workable or not, but that's something that to think about, you know. If you are on the seller side, I think maybe you should.
Sorry, that clause is the buyer, the visit can't be within the last week.
Within the last 10 days
Okay.
of the
Because
closing.
they're
So,
packing.
yes,
Yeah.
you know, you don't want to go
Yeah.
within the, you know, everything is packed up and you're going, you know, you may break something, you may, it's not fair for the seller to let you go in the last day of the closing, you know, that's not.
But you put that clause that has to say unless it is for bank appraisal purposes.
Yes, that is probably yes, that's right, yeah. That's only for the visit, because, you know, the last purchaser visit, you don't even have to put nothing, because your appraisal up to closing date,
Yes,
remember?
yes.
So if it's not changed, appraisal stays up to the closing date, but the last visit of the buyer
Okay,
will be within a week or 2 or 10 days of the closing.
okay.
So for my, let's say, purchase for my clients, so I've emailed before that the stove in the basement and the fan in the washroom should be changed because it's quite dangerous for the stove.
Okay,
I don't know if even he has been changed or not, so can I email us so months before closing to see what's going on? Or I
Sure.
should keep it
well,
close to 2
if
weeks?
you,
or-
if you're working with email and they confirm that it's been done,
Yeah.
keep those things. In case it's not, then at least you have something in writing from them
Yeah.
to you. And this way the buyer is comfortable. If they are lying, then it would be, you know, the job is on their side if they are lying. But if it's done, there is nothing to worry. But always, in real estate, one more thing, never depend on anybody's, that everything must be,
Right.
has to be
Right.
110% in writing. Unless you are in a look like this, I promise to him something and there is 15 other people listening me and they are, if there is a court case, all your 15 of them, they are there and say, yeah, we heard him, he promised him. 15 of you say the same thing, then I lose the case. But one person saying, oh, I was there, writing, in writing. It has to be very simple. It has to be very understandable. If I lose this and somebody finds it on the street, when they read it, they should understand what it means. Because we create the stuff sometimes, clauses, like, it doesn't make sense. Make it simple. Like I told her, the last visit is within 1 week. That's it. The buyer's last visit. Or the appraisal visit up to the closing date, because they may go a day before. I don't know when they will go, right? It's not in my hand. So, like that. Let me see what this guy did. I think he did 20 of 1. Can you see this?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, there is another 20. Yeah, that's fine. Let me get 1 of each. And then
I did that.
I can give this one over there. Okay, you do that. So, I'll give you 1 of this each. Any particular question about residential real estate that is bothering you, or you want to know a little bit more, if I can answer, okay? I know some, I cannot say a lot, and everybody is limited. I'm still learning after 45 years. How long ago you started? You've been in it long. Don't say anything, yeah. He's one of my old buddies, Italian buddies from Denver, you know? So years and years.
Very,
Yeah.
home inspection, is it advisable for the buyer's agent to be with the home inspector?
It's not for the inspector, it's for the buyer. One of the buyer member must be there, I think, to go with the home inspector, and maybe should be there to support the buyer. You don't want to leave your buyer with the listing agent. But you have a buyer agency, you did the offer, you got it accepted, you have to be there. Yeah. 3 hours is not it. You make it 2.5%. On $1 million, today is an average rate. It's 2.5% is 25,000. 3 hours, 25,000, and maybe a couple showings. Oh my God, that's a lot of money. Oh my God, that's a lot of. If you put it on hourly rate, it's a lot of money.
So last night, was my son's birthday, so we were.
Happy birthday to your son. How old is he now?
18.
18. Oh my God.
It's unbelievable.
The way you said it, like he is 5, 6 years old. Like last night
He
he
was
was.
5, yeah, he grew up.
For you, it's always 5, 6 years old. I have 3 others. For me, it's always like babies, you know? Yes, go ahead.
So a friend of mine was asking, so he has a house as an owner, he wants to rent it to a friend. So can we do it just friendly, don't write anything, so I let him in, this is the price that, so is it dangerous for me and stuff like that?
No, it's not dangerous, but don't put your name anywhere. Don't put reality pages name anywhere. As long as they agree between the terms and conditions.
No, they don't want to sign anything.
So?
It's a friend, so come on in, so pay me 2,000 per month.
No.
So she says,
If
shall I do it?
If you're
Or
asking
is
me,
it-
is it okay or not, the answer is and or.
Yeah, but
Like
why
I
is
said
it-
in the
why is it
beginning.
involved then, though? Like, why-
No, he was asking.
No.
So we really was
No.
asking.
The answer. You know what I said in the
As an
beginning?
expert, so what's?
You know what I said in the beginning?
Yeah.
I said 2 things, one now and one in the beginning. I said, everything starts shaking hands and hugging each other. Like yesterday, Trump was kissing the French president, right? But we don't know 6 months from now, they still gonna kiss each other or they're gonna kill each other. We have no idea. But yesterday, they were hugging each other. Everything starts like that. Middle of the term of the lease, anything can go wrong with the house, with the tenant, okay? Anything. Let's say something is wrong and the seller said, oh, that's nothing. I lived with that for 10 years. Why are you asking me to fix it? That's gonna cost me 2,000 or 1,000. And the tenant is not happy. That nice start is gonna diminish slowly. It's gonna diminish. So that's number one. Number two, the tenant says, now I have enough money. 8 months in a lease, I wanna buy a house. The guy says, you rent it for 1 year, I could have rented to somebody else. To me, no. That's number one. And I said a while ago, everything must be in writing. That's not only for real estate agents and brokerages, it's also for clients. That's my personal opinion, okay? So I wouldn't.
No, but we can help them bring it in to sign the contract.
Yeah, you can have them, no charge, no nothing. They use, as long as your name and their royalty agents and nobody involved. If there is any issue, you are not in it, we are not in it, you.
No, I mean official, so we can. just
Official?
Create, yeah.
Yeah, official, oh my God, you love it, you're gonna get this $500, those $1,000.
On the office expense would be great.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I appreciate, and that,
Yeah.
my lawyer friend, I thought.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Any questions? There is 45 minutes. If you want, I can go ahead with this, but I want, the reason we created today, questions and answers, if we can answer, yes.
What do you think exactly about the seller's inspection?
Sellers,
Inspector.
inspector,
Is that the seller brings the inspector before listing the house?
that's a possibility. Okay, let me go back to that. There are times the seller agent, if it's gonna be a multiple offer setup, they don't wanna waste time for conditions. They want qualified buyers. So what they do, the buyer financing, they cannot help because the buyers are somebody else, they don't know. They get an inspector, name brand inspector, not somebody with no license. They get the house inspected before they put it on the market, okay? And they leave a copy or, web copy on the kitchen table. Now, if you are interested and the company is reliable, like Pillars to Post and Carson and Dunlop, so many others, then you take a copy of it and you read it. If there are no major issues, except maybe one of the doors hinges, nothing, those are small stuff, or maybe small other stuff. If nothing major issue, then you're satisfied, you don't need to spend the money, and you don't need to put a condition. Okay?
But the buyer can put or
Can,
is not.
if they says, I don't like this guy's inspection report, I'm gonna go
I
home.
need my.
But you know what's gonna happen, if the house is a good value, and that night there is gonna be 10 offers, you have a condition in there, one more, they will accept somebody with 5,000 less, which I did when I was selling my house, unconditional to somebody else. Because conditional offers are even $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more, and they are not dependable. I had 3 offers on my house, this is years ago when I sold it. One was like 12,000 more, but it had 2 conditions. I'm not gonna go for that. I'd rather give it to someone with a certified check, $60,000 in my hand, no condition, perfect closing, but it's 10,000 or $1.5 million. I don't care if I'm not making that. Because those people wake up in the morning or 2 days after, they say, you know what, we rushed. We didn't even know if those people are coming good price or not. They change their mind. What are you gonna do? You can never get the other people back anymore. But this is the seller side. The buyer side has the option to put anything you want, lawyer inspection, approval.
Kurt, we're getting back to the inspection, okay, and what this lady was thinking about the seller, it's a good idea before someone is serious about listening to do that. Now, if a seller does that, it would be a good idea, and then for the SPIS to put down yes, because an inspection is way more informative than SPIS. Nope, separate?
SPI is totally different animal.
Okay.
Now, it is recommended by some lawyers, and it is not recommended by ORIA or even TED. It is not. Let me tell you why. Because most of the time when we are filling something and we are not doing the right way, it's actually worse than not having. Okay? If I am gonna write something and if it's gonna be working against me after 2 months or 3 months or a year, I better don't write it. Because that thing that you put down there, if it's any exaggeration or is not truth, it can come back and get you. Most of us use that form with check mark. That's not supposed to be like that. Sellers have to initial every box. Now, when you are working with a seller, inspection doesn't cover most of the stuff, not even maybe 50%. They only ask about the condition of the house. Are you ever have any roof leak or whatever, or the condition of your window? Inspector is only going to check that. They also ask in there, is there any housing, Ontario housing in your area? Inspector doesn't know that, and he doesn't care whether there are. Is there any jail around your area? Maybe you're living close to not that it matters. Some people don't care about those things, right? They buy it next to cemetery, but inspectors don't care about that. They are in the house to check the house, nothing else. And inspectors don't get involved with those things, and you cannot say I did this because inspection report was done 100% and everything is, seller is responsible for that. And there are times sellers are responsible even for the previews, because most of the time they say up to the time that the seller owned it, you have to make sure that that's in there, I seen so many stuff like that. I did it on my brother's house. I did it because there was an issue, and I wanted to make sure it was an issue with the town. And I had to specifically do that and attach it to this. This was about 25 years ago, because I was dealing with my brother. It's a relative. And on the other hand, I could have dealt with a buyer that is my own. So there is a conflict, you see. So I took that one and I said, please check SPIS and make sure it's initialed or signed before the offer presentation. There was a tree going through the sewage, and every year they had a problem in the basement. It wasn't the house, it was the city tree, not even our tree. The roots were going crazy. We asked the city how many times, cut the tree or do something that it doesn't. They came and they did, they cleaned, they had pictures and stuff, but it didn't solve the problem. So still there was an issue. The buyers liked the property, but they had to know about it. I don't want to hide anything, especially dealing with the relative, right? Then they say, you had the information about this, and I know, I cannot say, no, I didn't know, you never told me anything. Yeah. So, and they accepted it after that, they had no problem. Even if they had a problem with it, they assumed that problem with them.
And would it be wise to put in the description in the listing, when you're describing, you're putting the broker's remarks, to write down, inspection report is available upon request?
Yes.
Just to show
Yeah,
that
if it's
you're not
like
hiding
you said,
anything
yeah.
and the property's been well checked out.
Of course, yeah.
So it's a
Offer
bonus.
presentation next Tuesday, inspection report available at the property or on your
Yeah.
request by email or whatever,
Okay.
so you send everything to them. You're looking to me,
Yeah.
you're saying, Gregory, it's my turn now, and I'm giving
No, I
you,
forgot the question yesterday. I
What was
asked you.
yes,
I asked you two questions.
Two questions.
You asked me to.
yes, okay, tell me now.
I don't.
You don't remember?
No.
Oh my God.
I was trying to remember.
If the buyer asks, can you suggest any heading tonight? If the buyer doesn't want any mortgage, they ask us, we can suggest any mortgage.
Sure. You don't suggest broker, you suggest your own broker here, Janet, or in other offices, because they work for Reality Page and they don't do zigzag, like some other ones. I'm not generalizing everyone is the same, but there are some other ones. If you're working with big banks, and if they know you, they will work with you closer than other people, okay? Now, if they know someone in their own bank, leave them alone. But it's working with Janet or someone, a representative of your office, it's more advantageous. I tell you why. You have a 5-day condition in every offer, usually 5 business days, okay? He goes to the bank. They are free to go anywhere they want, and they get approved, fine, done. But privacy is number one issue. Banks will never tell you anything about your client, even though you have a signed PRA. Okay, that's a different story. That's to show a house, to sell a house. Their financial situation is totally private. Okay, now you sold the property Sunday night. Your condition is that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the last day. Correct? Today is Friday. Let's assume that you haven't heard nothing from anybody. Okay, and you call your client. They say, "Oh, we're gonna know today. Everything looks okay, but we're gonna know today." So your condition, most of us do this mistake, is expiring 6 p.m., which is the worst time of the day. Why do we expire conditions at 6 p.m.? This is not commercial, it's residential. 11, 10, 11:59, the more time you have for your buyer, the better it is. Miracles can happen. Maybe tonight there is 8 o'clock lottery and they win 100,000. And then all of a sudden you don't need the bank anymore, right? This can happen. At least. So don't expire any conditions at 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until 10 minimum. So you wait till 5 o'clock, no use. Your condition is expired in 1 hour. And then you call the bank. The bank says, I'm sorry, it's a privacy, we cannot give you any information. We will talk to the client. The client calls you 5:50, he says they didn't approve. There was a small issue, they need more time. Now you have 45 minutes to either waive the condition or nullify the order, or to get an extension.
Extension.
Now, how the hell you gonna find somebody, your client, first of all, is gonna sign an amendment that 5 days will be 7 days till Tuesday? Or you found your client by DocuSign, where you're gonna get the seller. Seller has to accept that. The agent is gonna say, well, I waited all 5 days and you're coming in now. This will not happen if your representative, Janet, I'm not taking anything from Janet, I'm not trying to sell your services. You can go any other office, I'm giving you an example. Your representative would have told you on Wednesday, saying, Gregory, I think you're gonna have a little bit of problem, I'll let you know tomorrow morning, which is Thursday, if you need extension. Bank wouldn't tell you, but he would tell you, she would. So now, if you know this problem ahead of time, you tell the other agent, if I need a couple more days, is it okay? They are working very hard, we may be okay, but is it okay? Can you talk to yourself? So everything is already pre-arranged, you know? It's not a bomb, bang, no, I cannot do it, you know? So I prefer to work with people that I get a little bit of information. I don't want to know everything about the buyer, but that there is an issue with the credit bureau. They are trying to locate another company. So if this, your amendment is ready Thursday night, you send it to them. They don't accept. The buyer says, don't worry, my father-in-law has some money, I'm going to get it, take the condition out. You didn't lose the deal. Or, we cannot afford this house, I'm having problem, then prepare the insurance. Time is always the essence. Okay? Yes, somebody was asking me a question. That's good. So that's how it goes, right? Work with somebody that you can get little bit of information. That's all. I'm trying to remember what was the question yesterday, and I can ask you tomorrow. No. You don't remember that? Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Yeah, I remember. You were with the SEMA. Let me see now.
What were you guys talking about?
Yeah, what were we talking about? That was about her house. I said tomorrow we're gonna have an open session.
The lawyer was there.
Yes, there was a lawyer about the hold deposit holding or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, deposit holding, and there was $10,000 that they are holding in the trust account. But there was her issue. Were you involved with that? No, you were not involved. That was her issue. Yeah. Anyway, so then we can go a little more with this thing. If you don't have any, if you remember anything that you know. Okay, let's talk about when you're representing your clients. Don't forget it says there are rights of the tenants. Okay, tenanted properties. The laws are changing as of some of them changed already, but now the real tenants law is coming as of April 30. Now we had two tenancy issue yesterday. I think it's good time maybe to talk about it. Before every one of us, when we are renting a place, we do agreement to lease, and then we put a paragraph in there. Upon everybody's signature, you don't need no other list, this will be the list, okay? So that means once this is accepted, the agreement to this, then you don't need no other additional contract. Years ago, this wasn't allowed. When I was working in real estate full-time, you had to have a lease agreement by the landlord after the agreement of to lease, because that's an agreement to lease, it's not a lease. But now, because of the new electronic era, everything is changed, everybody start making everything shorter. Somehow Ontario government and OREA and CREA accepted that paragraph. But now they are going back again. This is not something new that we have to have official. This is not new. 25 years ago, I was using that. Different form. Grand and Toy, anybody remember that store? Yeah, they used to sell legal forms, this indenture. And my grandfather was saying, I have my dentures, I don't need another one, so indenture and denture, they can, he said, I don't need another denture, I have it, because I was renting a house to an old person, indenture and denture, they got confused. So this indenture, that was the heading on it, legal form. About 6-7 pages, very, very basic, tenant, landlord, and their rights. They took that out. Maybe I have a copy one day, I'll show it to you from old days. So now it's coming back in a different form. What happens now when you are renting something today, it's closing tomorrow. It doesn't happen very often. Or you rented something last week and it's closing tomorrow. You can still use that clause because April 30 is a week from now or 5 days from now. What happens if you are doing something today and it's closing May 1st or after? Tenant tenants have the right to demand official lease, even though you are signing it today. The offer should not be written in a way that this is going to become a lease. You can't anymore. It is closing after the 30th. So the good news is, no, this is only for residential. Commercial leases are always totally separated.
What about condominium?
Condominium, yes. Residential condominium also. Now, let's do one more. Usually, okay. This is educational purposes only from ORIA. Now you're gonna say, how the hell he gets all these things? Maybe you have it too. I don't know. Somehow you have it. No, they didn't get it.
The new one?
Yes. Now we are still gonna use the same style of form, but it's changed. I'm giving you the form number. 400 revised March 2018, because the old number is the same. The old number is still 400, right? But this is revised 20 days ago, okay? So everything is different on this form. It's not like your original offer to lease. Everything is changed according to the new residential lease rules. Remember the old one? There were the squares over here, who pays the high floor, who pays. You see, that's on the second page now. That this is totally changed. All right. There are different sections that you have to fill. There are different places that they have to be initial, and there are different clauses in the list itself, pre-printed. Either you like it or not. It's like offer, Before there were some stuff, but not as many and not identical. There are more rights given to the tenant than before. And after you do this, this is not the end of it. This is only offer to this. Before we used to put in here, once this is signed, that's it. You don't need anything anymore, right? No more. Within 21 days, not 22, if you don't give the tenant the proper lease agreement, you can get charged by the Landlord and Tenant Bureau legally.
So
Now,
is it just for lease or not leasing?
leasing?
It's just for lease or?
No, it's both for both of them. They have to sign both. This is like an
Yes,
offer
you have
to
to,
them.
the leasing is.
Yeah, this is signs it, gives it to the landlord,
But the
okay,
lease
lessor.
is-
Lessor signs it and it becomes a contract, depending on the completion of the transaction. You sign it today, it's closing the end of the month, or the end of May. June 1st is your tenant gonna move there, right? You either have the actual lease ready before that, or within 21 days after the tenant moves, you must give it.
You talk about the lease
Are you?
like that.
But you still don't add the schedule A, B, C.
Yeah, there is a schedule ABC here, okay? But some of the stuff that we used to use, they are not allowing anymore. We're gonna get new clauses, okay? And also, this is the list that we will sign after that. This is not the one that you go in to offer, okay? This is the offer one. Form 400, revised March. And this one here is the Ontario government residential tenancy agreement, the standard form of list, okay? So there is the names and stuff, there is too many pages, but they are not all for you. Some of them are explanations about the stuff that I read and I tell you when you need it. And I will not get involved as much as before because there is a lot of new rules and I'm not a residential tenancy lawyer. So whatever I know, whatever I don't know, I say call the landlord and tenant. Because it's like responsibility of the brokerage until you know more about it. So there is all kinds of stuff that is check mark, you know. You cannot charge, by the way, more than $20 for NSF check. We used to do $35, $40, and I see $50. If I used your name. If Mo gave me a check as a tenant and it bounced, it says in the offer that there will be a charge of $40 because his check NSF came NSF. No more. It's only $20. No more than. You are not supposed to charge the last month. First only.
You can, once they moved in.
Yes, after they move in, they have to pay you that, not before. Before we used to charge, right? So there are a lot of changes that you have to go over. And also, how are you going to get out commission and HST if you only have 1 month deposit? That's the question now. Because when you have 2 months deposit, $2,000, first month 1,000, last month I'm making it simple, last month 1,000, the deal closes, the landlord does not get 1,000. He gets 1,000 plus HST, so his side is minus of $130 because there is 1,000 plus HST. So his last month is $870, right? Now, where are you going to get that HST? That is the question. If you ask the tenant, you have to pay me 1 month plus HST is going to say, this is not a commercial list. Commercial, this is a HST. Why is that for? It's for my commission. He's not going to $130 more. So there is still gray area. I don't know how to. Pardon? Yeah, what the hell, you know? I give. So a lot of stuff in there. There are some new ones that the key deposits cannot be more than that, and you have to justify why you are asking. Why we used to ask $300 condominium keys? Do they really cost $300? No. $75 maybe the parking. You need one. And then another $75 for the, entry. So it's $200 or $25. There is a limit time. You cannot go more than that. Everything is controlled, right? And also the forms are all changed. And 1 and 2 and 3, everything is new. And 12, everything is changed. You want to move in your house, and be careful that you say yes, or your son or your daughter, your sister, your mother, and your uncle. No more than that. They have to live in the house minimum 1 year. If the tenant moves out because you want to move in there and you don't, then you rent it to somebody else. If they follow up and they find out, $25,000 penalty to the owner. That's in here. You're signing it, by the way. It's in here. Okay, $25,000 penalty if they prove that you lied to them. Now you move in, something happens, you move out. That's, I don't know what the tribunal laws and rules are. I don't know how long you have to stay, but they are saying minimum of 1 year. Your son, your daughter, your uncle, somebody related to you has to move in there. And when you are telling the tenant, we want you to move out, you gotta give them 60 days minimum, plus a 1 month rent to take them out, because you are moving there. So if the rent is $2,500, you give them 60 days notice and plus $2,500, or you have to find them identical accommodation, not identical, but similar accommodation somewhere else and pay the 1 month there. Okay, so these are new rules again. Now, if you don't move in, there's a penalty. If you want the rent increase more than the actual allowance, which is 1.8% this year, you have to give a reason. There is a special form for them. Okay, and rent increases are not 60 days; it's 90 days. All right, it's always been 90, by the way. You have a house, you want to rent, just so 90 days.
Can you put an automatic, you make the contract, see, okay, each year will be automatic. You have to give them 90 days.
Yes. Yeah, 90 days notice, because you don't know each year how much it's going to be. It could be. And another thing, if your taxes increases $50, $200, $500, depending the area, real estate value, there is nothing you can do. You can apply for an extra increase if they approve it. The board has to approve. If your taxes decreases, you have to share it with the tenant.
Oh,
I said the same thing. Oh, but
All in their favor.
yes, okay. Now, there is a formula they are using it. I don't have that formula, but there is a formula. If it's so much, you have to share it with them. If it's less than that, you have to share it differently. It's like a, how do I say, income tax. You make 100,000, you pay 25%. Let's say you make 200,000, you pay 40%. You know, so or 50%. So that's like a formula. How much is decreasing? That's according to that. Okay. So these are all, it's coming in effect. There's some of them are gray areas that even the lawyers that we talk to or we discuss, they don't know everything because they don't have anything. Like, they only know what we, okay, what I'm telling you. Obviously, they go in details with all the laws and stuff. I'm just covering up now just the basic stuff. But that's the way. Now, the buyer is buying your property. It's tenanted, and you have a lease. Obviously, the tenant has the first opportunity to say, I'm not moving, because he has a lease till September, and the buyer wants to move in July. So you cannot force the tenant unless you bribe him. You know, you say, listen, I'm going to give you $5,000, and he has to sign a paper that he is willing to move on that day, and the day that he is going to move, he's going to receive $5,000 certified check from you, okay? Not regular check, so you have to bribe him because of the deal that you're losing otherwise. So if he accepts that fight, then he's going to fight, you got to give him 60 days notice, but he is terminating, you're terminating his lease 3 months before the actual termination, but there is 5,000 costing, let's say, or 2,000 or whatever. So there is a form for that you sign, he accepts it, he signs, and you get a copy. The day of the moving out, you got to give him the money, or he can stay there, obviously, and then the deal is not going to do because the buyer wants to move in July 1st. So,
so should you mention, should you
yeah,
write it
yeah,
down?
it's in writing.
500?
Yeah, $5,000 I am giving, and he's accepting to move. That's all legal.
So it's legal.
Yeah, because they are both agreeing. I want you to move. Is it okay with you? He says, yeah, it's okay, but I have another 3 months, you know. It's like you're going to lose this deal if you don't, you know, what are you going to do for me? And I'm saying, what do you want? Well, it's going to cost me moving, extra this, extra that. I bought a house, maybe it was going to be ready, I have to move twice. It's going to cost me a little bit of money. How much? Well, you give me 5,000. You say, can we do it 3? Okay, 3 is okay. Well, you settle it. It's a good agreement. You are not doing anything illegal. He's accepting it. It's in writing, certified check. That's it. So everything that is agreeable. That's all. Now, he says, I'm not moving out because it doesn't matter the money. I'm going to be here. You cannot break the list because he has until September. Then the buyer is accepting the tenant if he wants to buy the house until September. That's his problem. If the buyer says no, then there is no deal. The guy has a lease, he has to stop. Let's assume that his lease is expiring in July. Okay? And the buyer says, give the proper paperwork legally that you sold. You cannot tell the tenant, I'm going to sell the property next week. I'm putting it on the market. Here is a 60 days notice. You cannot do that. Why? Because the property is not sold. First, you have to put it on the market. You get an offer. You go there to the tenant and say, I sold the property. Here is a 60 days. You cannot do that. It has to be a firm offer. If it's conditional, it's not sold. You cannot treat the tenant. Okay? So it has to be firm offer, number one. Number two, this is expiring. Let's talk about it. The end of June. Okay? The end of June. So when do you have to give proper notice to this person? Today you sold the property and it's firm. Today is 26th of the month. Can I go to the tenant and I say, here is the 60 days notice. My buyer is going to move in 26th of June. And I'm giving you 60 days notice. Is that legal? No, why not?
But he said if it's sold firm.
Yeah, it's sold firm. Today you got the waiver. And the buyer says, I want to move in 26th of June or 27th of June. Today is 26. So we have 61 days. Can we give the tenant the notice today and say that now we sold it firm, please move on?
No,
No.
You can,
Yeah.
you can,
No.
no, no, you say yes. Now, let me ask first of all, when you are saying yes, you can, why are you saying yes, you can?
Because you said if it closes firm, then you can give us.
You can give a notice. Are you saying the same thing? You are agreeing. Why do you say no? You better come up with a good answer.
No,
You said no, now you are in
no.
trouble. Then you come up with something like wishy-washy.
No, I think because we should notice the tenant for 90 days, right?
90 days? No, that's only rent increase.
Oh.
90 days is rent increase. That's a good answer anyway. Why do you say no? Somebody else said.
Because in lease agreement,
This-
ending, it is not, if it is not in 60 days, we cannot.
It is 60 days.
Oh.
Today is 26, and we are asking him to move 27th of June.
So is that the end of the tenant?
It's not the end of the rental period. You cannot. He doesn't have to move out. Actually, you make a mistake. He says yes. He doesn't move out. You cannot do nothing. You have to start a new process. Let me tell you why.
Yeah, because it's not your
Because we have
property.
That doesn't matter. Let me tell you why.
So the answer is no?
The answer is no, you can't. Let me tell you why. Everything has 60 days from the rental period. If this person is paying beginning of the month, May to May 31st is 1 month. June to June 30th is 2 months. If you tell him to move middle of the month because you're giving him the notice, that doesn't count. It has to be 2 full rental periods.
So his last day would be June 30th.
Exactly. So you sold it today, you can give the notice has to say at the end of June. You're giving him early, 2-3 days early, which is better, but it has to say at the end of June. If you're closing it June 27th, it's tough luck. You can state at the end of it because proper notice is a full 2 months. All right?
So what if it's not a firm term? What if the term expired after 1 year and now you rent
Month to month is still the same thing. 60 days, full 60 days of the rental period. 90 full times rental period if he's renting, please, okay? You cannot go middle of the month because, let's say you sold it 10th of April and you got firm on the 11th or the 17th of April. 17 is not a term. April 1st was the term. You could have given it the end of March for the term. Now 17 is not, it's the middle of the term. That doesn't count. From 17 till the end of April is 13 days. It's not counting nowhere. You can give your notice on the 14th, 15th, up to the 29th or the 30th, but you gotta allow him 2 full months there. Unless again, there is something in writing that your hands are shaking, then he's accepting you.
So what about if the buyer, is going to buy it, fix it up, and won't fix it, then he doesn't want the penalties?
Yeah, that's a good question. We asked that to the lawyer. Now, if the buyer is closing it to move in, but there is renovation, the tenant has to agree first of all to move. There is no contract, okay? If there is a contract, you're not going to be able to get rid of him until the term is finished. Now, the tenant moved out. You really have to have a good intention that you're doing something. See, tenants are now, they are more aware of the things than before. It's like anything else, okay? It's like everybody else. Right now, real estate became digital. Years ago, when we were in the business, we did not have this black mirror, I call it. You look at it, it's like a mirror, but it's black color. We did not have computers. We did not have anything such that you could communicate by email, by the photocopy papers were like toilet papers. You could print one side and then another side, not double-sided, and you could staple them together. And there were a lot of phone booths. Now, do you see any phone booths anymore? No, because, and when you get page, my first pager was beep, 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 red light. Everybody had that. Nobody had any better one. And then you knew your office paging you, your wife couldn't page you because there is a system attached to that pager. Your kids couldn't page you. So you had to stop at a phone booth, put 25 cents, actually it was 10 cents when I started, 10 cents. You called the office, they were pink slips. Name, who called, what time, and pink slips, right? Yeah. So, and then you would say, oh, Joanne is looking for you, here is the number. Then you would get that number. If it's important, you put another 10 cents, or you would wait. Now, those days, people that they want to buy or sell, they couldn't do anything without you, me, him, and him, and him. Now they can do anything without us. They needed us more those days than today. We say they need us today too. Yes, definitely, but not as much as they did those days. Because there was no information on the MLS that they would say, I want to see this house. I want to see that one because it looks like mine. There was no such information. Now is everything there, right? So time is changing. We have to go with the time. We are still making good, but 20 years from now, what happens? We don't know. Okay? So we have to adjust ourselves. So coming back to your question, yes, you want to renovate, but now tenants are more informative because they know now that there is such thing called landlord and tenant office. They can get information. It's in the paper, it's in the newspaper, it's in the media, it's on computer, that everything is changing. They will follow. If you are the owner of that property and you did a reno, kitchen, washrooms, toilets, everything changed, and you move in there after 6 months, they have no claim. You did what you wanted. But you did all that or a little bit of your paint job and stuff, you rented to somebody else, they can come up. And you have to prove, why did you do that? You change your mind, it has to be a proof. Now, sometimes apartment high floors are very legit. You say, oh my God, my wife's birthday, she was gonna fall down from the balcony, I held her, because it's like a 50th floor, we can never leave that. That could be a good reason for some people that they have, phobia. Elevator, you tried, but it didn't work. You can prove that. Maybe the doctor can give a certificate. Yes, this person has a phobia of heights or elevators or claustrophobic, whatever. Then maybe there is a way they will not come up. But if you don't have anything and you rented it $150, $200 more money, yeah, exactly.
So basically, no one can buy property that is branded, they want to change the brand and get a different brand. No, you have to do the same.
Especially if you're increasing the rent, that's your idea. Because the guy is paying $1,900, you know that next door is rented $2,400 or $2,300. You can make $300 more, but with him, you are only allowed 1.8%. That's the idea, you can.
But you said there are special increases that I have to apply for, that if I do not increase my rent based on the book every year, or let's say for the past 6, 7 years, and now I realize that I can rent it $300, $400, $500 more a month. So you mentioned that there is a way how to, I can apply 1.8% for this year. And also, you mentioned that also another increase that I can needs to be approved by board. Would those increases?
Well, there has to be additional increases and they're gonna make a meeting with you.
Like for instance,
For instance, you're putting a brand new air conditioning system.
I don't.
You don't. What is the reason?
Tax increase.
You're putting brand new kitchen. The tenant was not happy with the kitchen, not with the floor. You are changing this carpet to a hardwood floor because of the allergic cases. Those are the things maybe will they allow you. Otherwise, I don't know any. Your mortgage is higher. I don't think they care about it.
Increase in condominium fees.
No. It is like $40, $50, yeah, but if it's $30, $40, $50, no, because then everybody is getting. But if it's an unrealistic increase, or you could apply because then you say, last year I was paying $400, this year I'm paying $600. Special levy, they charge you $10,000 because they didn't have enough money in the budget, they are repairing the balcony. But those kind of things, I think it will be enough reason for them to accept.
Taxes and also the
Condo fees, but it has to be reasonable. $50 increase on tax is not gonna get you nowhere, because it's like yearly according to the inflation.
There was a building with had flooding, and then they charged the residents for, like, depending on the footage and everything, some huge money, like 7,000 for one bedroom.
Yes, I think that would be a good reason,
Would that be a good reason?
Those kind of, but they have a system though. what they do that 7,000 according to the tenant's lease term, they would, and then how much after they are willing to, see, it's not only you, they have to go to the tenant and say that your rent is gonna be so much. How long are you willing to stay here? Another year, then maybe proportion of that will apply, and then they will give you the green light to rent to somebody else for more money after this tenant moves out. You cannot just say, I pay 7,000, I'm increasing your rent because you're gonna be here $1,000 more. You can't do that. There is a formula that they use, but they will allow you that. And one of my friends, he has a duplex in Kitchener. He applied for a special increase and they approved because he did some renovation from outside. There was a brick work that it was deteriorating, and he put the garage. There was no garage after rental. People were more happy. Even like almost over maybe 5% increase, and they accepted because of the garage that the tenants were happy to park in the garage. Before they were on the driveway, winter time they had to clean all the snow, and they didn't even brief about it. They just.
And you need to get approval before.
Yes,
in
yeah,
advance
yeah. No,
from-
no, not in advance. After you do the thing, you are doing it for improvement of your house anyway. And if the tenants are like happy about that improvement, then you say, listen, I'm gonna do all this, but make sure that you will support me because I'm spending maybe $30,000 extra to make you happy. Are you gonna be okay with it? If they kind of agree with that, then when you apply, they're gonna be asked, like, this is gonna be increased so much, $100 a month or $200 a month. They go, yeah, I mean, they cannot refuse, and they give them enough time. If you're not agreeing it, landlord has proven us that this is very legit, then you can move out and you're expired, and they move out, then you rent to somebody else for a higher fee. They are somewhat reasonable if there is enough evidence that it's deserved that increase.
Gregory, when you were saying about, we were talking about, the month to month, and it's gotta be the full month from the beginning to the end of the month. Okay, what if your tenant, you've got a lease agreement that started on the 15th of the month? It was always stipulated the 15th is when he paid rent. So 15th to 15th to 15th to 15th.
Then
So in that
that's
case-
your full month.
And that would be the, from 15th to 15th. It
If
wouldn't
there-
have to be
no.
a calendar 1 to 30 to
No.
1.
It's when we say full month, 90% of the rentals are first of the month till the end.
Yeah, but this
Or
one
let's
says-
say 80%. Some of them maybe 15 to 15, then it's your full month.
Yeah.
Some of them are even 7 to 7, because that's the way it worked out. Then you're giving full month 7 to 7. If they started on the 7th and you didn't charge any gap,
Yeah.
because sometimes, you know what happens, you charge 23 days and then your new lease starts first. If that didn't happen, you gotta be careful because there is some proration in some leases. If I'm renting on the 17th of the month, the landlord said, why don't we do 13 days prorate and then we start everything on the first of the month? If that's the case, it becomes first of the month.
Yeah.
Because the tenant paid you 13 days extra from year to year, like the mortgage. Middle of the month, in advance they pay you, right? Or you pay them. So if it's not the case, then whatever the date you are starting, that's your month. Okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So just final question for you, so for the case that friends want to rent it out, so I have to do all the paperwork, buyer is rent the other side, so they go, this is multiple offer. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be multiple representation if you wish,
Yeah.
or whoever you want to represent as a client, the other person will be customer. That's a choice. If you know the tenant more than the buyer, then you have a BRA, and the landlord is a customer, or vice versa. If you are working for the landlord,
For the landlord.
then
I don't know
landlord is
the
the listing. Pardon?
I don't know the tenant, that's his friend.
Okay, then why don't you do landlord as a client and tenant as a customer?
Okay, so I don't need to.
You don't need
But I have to represent both.
You can if you want to, but it's not a dual agency, it's not a multiple representation. In order to create a multiple representation, either yourself or someone in the office, it has to be BRA and a listing. If one side is a customer, no BRA or no listing, it's not a multiple. Then responsibilities are lower. That doesn't mean none, but low.
So, are these new forms going to be available to us? Like
Oh, yeah,
boxes over there after
they
the
have
30th?
to, they have to, yeah, they have to, it's not a choice anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
it's not a choice.
Like, oh, the new
Yes.
ones that you have, sorry.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Well, let me go over one thing though. This agreement to this will be available in your offices respectively to be typed by here by Brenda or other offices by their administrator like they used to be before. But contracts are not our responsibility. It's the landlord's responsibility to prepare or the landlord's agent, not even the tenant. It's the landlord has to supply, provide to the tenant within 21 days. So I don't want you to confuse that this is going to be done by Brenda, no, or by your respective, where is the paperwork here?
So the landlord's one that fills it out and gets the tenant.
Yeah, either landlord or the agent. If the landlord is not capable of filling this out, then the agent will be doing it for him and then give it to the other party.
So you're giving this to the other party, you're giving it to the tenant?
Yes,
To represent the
yeah, either the tenant directly as a landlord, you go there, you say, this is the list now that we are signing, or if he is not able to do it, his agent to the other agent and the other agent, because they are involved, either before the moving date or after the moving. 21 days is the limit after the moving date, but you can do it as early as right after the acceptance and the condition. Let's say you have a condition for credit bureau for the tenant, landlord to be satisfied, right? It's in there, yeah. Once that is being removed, you can say, here is the list, it's.
So not before,
Not
the
before.
firm contract.
Yes,
Firm
exactly.
offer is
Firm
as-
offer date, yeah, this becomes a legal document between the two parties, but we don't prepare this, we don't have, the girls don't have the knowledge to do this because it's between two parties. Our administrators don't know even this paper, maybe it's not even in the system. This is on the government side, and I'm sure ORIA will have it, but it's not a responsibility of the office to do it for you. They are not trained, they are not licensed, it's between one party to the other, it's actually the landlord to tenant, but some landlord's gonna put the pressure on the agent, and other tenants gonna say, you read it to me, what it is. Are we all capable of understanding everything as a landlord? No, we have an agent, right? So they will be working, not the girls. The girls cannot work with this. You have to understand that. It's our responsibility. See, there's too many pages, and there are check marks. They don't even know what you decided between the two parties. They have no idea. You cannot put that kind of work on the administrative person to prepare this for you, and it's all wrong. Then they have to redo it again. They have no idea. You know what I'm saying? They don't know the property. They don't know what the laws that you are going with. They don't know your conditions. Like they have no idea. They won't be able to do this. This, yes, preparation of the offer to this.
The form 400, that's on the way.
That's 400, exactly. You can do this, they do that with the clauses, that's what we used to do. But this new one, it has to be done by us. Okay?
But
Because,
we're gonna get copies of that,
pardon?
the new one.
The new one, you won't have, this is on the government side, I give you the website if you want, and you can take it. Or we might be able to provide copies, but what I'm saying is, even there are copies, they will not be providing the services to fill this. Because it has nothing to do with their knowledge, there will be million mistakes on it. Because it's about 10 pages and there are check marks over there, yes or no, yes or no. Are the dogs allowed? How do they know you have a dog or not? Like, very simple. Smoking is allowed or not? They don't know if the seller or the landlord is willing to have somebody with smoking habits or no. Are they gonna put yes or no or maybe, the dogs. Some condominium limit restriction no more than 30 pounds. They have no idea, right? So it's between two parties. But it's about 12 o'clock.
So the website is standard.
The website is a government website, landlord and tenant bureau. If you go in there, you will find the new tenancy leases. And you will, print it as many pages you want. But what I would suggest, to get involved and familiarize the form, you should, even though you are not working with a tenant or a landlord, everybody should print one and read and see what kind of a documentation you're reading and what you need about the deposits and all these things, So I think that would be ideal before you have a tenant or landlord that they ask you all this question and you are not aware of it, So May 23rd, this week's Wednesday, is the Power of Sale new course. We never did it here. I'm doing it. And I will touch back and forth a little bit the difference between Power of Sale and foreclosure that US does. we can do it in Canada, but we prefer not to. There are reasons for that. If you are interested, mark it. It's a brand new course, and there will be some presentation forms I have to prepare. You will be interested because there is some pressure on the market, mortgage rates and stuff. I hope never happens like 90s, but we will have some properties coming under our sale, so you should be ready. May 23rd, Wednesday. Okay, I do it once a month. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any question, you can stay around me. If not, thanks for coming.